What's up, Yins? This week on Car Dad Bill, we have a 2024 Dodge Hornet RT Plus track and blacktop packages, all-wheel drive, and it's a plug-in hybrid. Man, is that a mouthful for a car this size. Small car, big name. It's got a lot of stuff in here, so this review is going to be featuring a lot of different options, a lot of different configurations of the vehicle, but let's go for a ride. Again's first impressions of the Dodge Hornet RT plug-in hybrid is that it's a very small, sporty, aggressive plug-in hybrid vehicle. So they tried to marry the track and blacktop packages with a plug-in hybrid vehicle. I'm not sure how I really like that combination, because you're going for an aggressive track style small SUV, and then you're blending that with the plug-in hybrid efficiency of all electric drive for like 30 some miles. So like, I don't know if those two things belong together necessarily, high performance driving, high performance, engine horsepower, and then you have the plug-in hybrid addition to it. Now, the overall looks of the exterior, the interior layout, the drivability of it, all of that stuff is fantastic. First impressions are, yes, I like the way it looks and feels and sounds when the motor's running, but I'm not sure yet. Let's get to the real review. Hey, Yins, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps the algorithm. It helps build the channel up a little bit more, get us better cars. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it. All right, Yins, standing outside the Hornet RT track and blacktop package with the plug-in hybrid. Couple things about this. Number one, the blue paint. The blue paint is fantastic. The black wheels are fantastic. The red calipers are fantastic. The blacktop package adds a lot of the gloss black trim, mirrors, things that you see on the outside that are black. Track package adds the brakes, the wheels, some other doodads to the outside. I do like the LEDs up front here, but I'm not a big fan of the reverse reflection LED. I'd rather there be some projectors there. We'll talk about that more during the review. Turn signals and the daytime running lights are flashing, looking really nice. I like just the two lines for Dodge now. Functional air scoops up front here for venting. The Hornet on the side is also very sharp. But just the overall look of this little SUV is sporty and fast looking. And it is fast. Love the wheels outset to the back corners. This side of the car is the gas tank. The other side is the charging port. LED turn signals and LED taillights up back here. You can see flashing in there. And if you can tell on the video, the light inside there is 3D. Like it goes inside the actual like housing with a really nice look to it. Zero bumper. There's absolutely no bumper back here. It just swoops back, drops off a cliff. No bumper. A decent amount of storage back there, and I'll show you that shortly. Dual exhaust pipes out back as well, which is welcomed on any vehicle. And just look at the stance overall. It's got a really aggressive stance. I like it. I like the appeal of this little SUV. It definitely fits a niche for folks with smaller families that want something kind of sporty. Let's go inside. All right, inside the Hornet, and just look at all of the amenities that the Hornet provides. Harman Kardon sound system, red stitching throughout the interior, different levels of material, black, shiny black, aluminum style with the little dials on the side here to turn the vents on and off. Different layering of materials throughout the vehicle, which I like. I mean, you need that kind of contrast in vehicles. The steering wheel is fantastic. Flat bottom steering wheel. You have the little bolstered interior portions for when you're driving. hold onto the wheel. But then you also have these static paddle shifters, which is cool, and it's race inspired and it's performance inspired, and I get that. And they're like kind of cut out of aluminum. They don't feel like aluminum necessarily, but they're supposed to be. And both sides are static like they should be, but it's in the way for the turn signals and the high beams and your wiper control on the other side. It's just in the way, kind of. And like I said in the opening, it's a plug-in hybrid, so I don't know that you need paddle shifters, and I don't know that you need to stack all these different performance trim levels into this vehicle. But enough about that for now. We have the speedometer on this side, tachometer on that side. Right now it's currently in hybrid mode. If you select this button, it changes it to electric or whatever else, and it also shows you on the screen, what you're in at that moment. But the screen itself is all digital. It's very well lit, very well laid out. The gas mileage is on the left. The electric mileage is on the right. You can see that we have almost a full charge. I'm starting off with almost everything. So 196 mile range total with both things. I mean, the gas tank can get, probably another $10 in there. This gauge that I have on right now shows, what the battery's doing, what the electric motors are doing, what the actual engine's doing. It tells you what's happening in real time. And it's kind of nice that way. If you select this, it'll change what's up there, and you can obviously scroll through that to all your different options and pick whichever option you want to actually have up there. And I like seeing my range and all that stuff up front. Down below, we have the HVAC controls, dedicated HVAC down here, venting in the middle. Your screen up here is touch, and it's a little bit slow. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit slow. It's not my favorite screen. See how the comfort took a minute to get there. The phone takes a minute to get down there. Once you get to the vehicle settings, it's quick, but it's also not. It just goes back and forth. It's just not quite up to the par that you would think of other vehicles. Down here, plug button for start and stop. The sport button, that sport button's awesome. Wireless charging down there. You also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for this vehicle, which is nice. The volume controls down here, because you don't really have any buttons up here any longer. They took everything away. So your parking brake and your volume and power is down here. I don't know if I like it. I always use the steering wheel one. My son comes down here and turns the volume up when he likes the song. Standard shifter, it's welcome. And then you have your traction control and your parking assist, which is always going to be down there. Your cup holders are decent size. I love the stitching, and I love the stitching on the seats. The seats have really nice red and black accenting, very strong bolstered seats, top and bottom. Harman Kardon sound system sounds great in here. And it's just a nice looking dashboard, nice looking interior. I think they did a good job overall. Let's get in the back and take a look at that. You got Hornet in the door sills as well. Jumping out back, little detail there. The door opens up and it takes that detail with it. You have plastic down here. You don't have a door sill anymore, but you still have the similar design on the door frame. Inside here, same idea with that stitched leather, the red and black accents. Charging down here, you have both sets of charging, which is nice for both USBs, your vents. And you have static seatbelts, which was easy for my kids to get their seatbelts on. Now I'm sitting behind myself back here, and I have enough room. Absolutely, there's enough room. My knees aren't touching the seat. Good amount of headroom up here. Big sunroof. It's not terrible. Let's look in the back. Out back, you reach underneath. There's a button that opens up this trunk, and you have a good amount of storage. I left that down so you could see that you could pass through there with hockey sticks and chairs and skis and whatever that's long that you need to go through to fit through those seats, you can do that. Back here we have some charging, we have some hookups. There's an actual cover that sits on there and it covers this whole area. But to be frank with you, I had baseball tournaments all weekend. We had hockey games this weekend. So there was like no room with that cover in there. It covers up the top. So like it only gives you the bottom half of the trunk. And we found that to be less than ideal. And you can kind of see with the items that I left in here, youth hockey gloves, youth cleats, and adult hockey gloves, just how small this is back here. And it's going to work for some families. It didn't really work for mine this weekend. It was kind of tough, but we made it work. You can fold the seats down as well. Like this half goes down and that half can stay up if you're only taking 3 people somewhere. But you know, I'm minimal taking 5 people or 4 people everywhere I go. So it's kind of, this was just a little bit tricky. I'm not going to say it was bad because not everyone has a family that's my size, but like it was definitely a little bit tight for mine. Let's get on the road. All right, guys, real quick before we get on the road, we have the Monroney with some of the data for this Hornet RT. And really, it's like I said before, it's got a lot of good numbers and it's got a lot of good stuff in it, but like it's got a weird blend of like efficiency and technology and performance. So 2024 Dodge Hornet RT Plus with the track and blacktop packages, the E all-wheel drive system, and the plug-in hybrid system. The system, the engine and transmission setup is a 1.3 liter inline 4 turbo with the plug-in hybrid that makes 288 horsepower and 383 pound-feet of torque. Yes, with sport mode on, in hybrid mode, getting on the highway, it flies. It sounds great and it flies. The blacktop, or I'm sorry, it's mated to a 6-speed Ison plug-in hybrid automatic transmission. So when it's in hybrid mode and it's using the motors and the transmission, it's a 6-speed automatic. That's pretty efficient and moves pretty well. When you have it in electric mode like I have it in now, it's super duper smooth and it doesn't use that 6-speed automatic. It uses the plug-in hybrid transmission. The blacktop and track package add about $3,500 to the bottom line. The MSRP on this, as tested, is $52,080. Yes, you heard that correctly. Small 5-person SUV, all-wheel drive with plug-in hybrid technology, $52,080. I think that's a little bit expensive for something like this. Maybe that's because it has all of the stuff. Maybe that's because it has the all-wheel drive system and all of the technology and all that added to it. But that's still a lot of money for this size vehicle, in my opinion. The plug-in, when you plug in the hybrid and you get the full mileage, you saw it on the dashboard, 31 miles of range. That never changed the entire time that I've had this. I've plugged it in almost every day just to get the full electric mileage and get to see how this system reacts back and forth. And 31 miles was the most I could get out of that. Now, combined with full tank of gas and the full electric charge, it's roughly 300 to 310 miles. Dodge and the internet tell you 360. Maybe that's different, if you're in a flatter area and you have a little bit better, ability to not go up and down hills, then yeah, maybe you can get more mileage, total mileage out of that. But I was only able to get around 300, maybe 305. And the gas mileage is an average of 29 miles per gallon when it's in hybrid mode. I am not able to find a setting in these settings anywhere that shows me what I'm getting actual mileage wise. So I'm going to go with that 29 miles per gallon in the hybrid mode. And it's not terrible, but it should be in the 30s for a vehicle this size. Absolutely. But that's that. Let's get on the road and talk about the good and the bad because there's a couple things. All right, guys, out on the road, driving on some of my favorite roads. And I want to start off by saying that the actual like drivability of this thing and handling and all of that is top notch. It handles really well. It's very flat. There's no drama. Has great acceleration, whether you're in hybrid mode or in electric like we are right now. Like right now, we're driving all electric. It's super quiet, super smooth. And I like driving in electric mode until I'm on the highway. And then once I'm on the highway, I switch over. And that's the beauty of stuff like this, is you can just hit a button and you can change how that setup works. Pretty cool stuff. Let's start with the good list, because the good list is kind of short, but it's just to the point, Plug-in hybrid electric vehicle for commuting. Love it. 30-mile range. I can bebop all around Western PA, do what I got to do, to and from games, to and from work, to and from houses, to and from whatever. And I'm all electric most of the time. And I like that aspect of things. I can just plug it in at home and have that ability to do that. It's ideal for me, at least. And I'm sure it's ideal for a lot of folks that don't commute a ton. Second thing is the style and performance. I love the way it looks. The blue paint, the black wheels, the red calipers, the handling, the style, the interior's tight, has like a performance feel to it. The flat bottom steering wheel, all that stuff's very appealing. It looks good. I think they did a good job designing it. It looks well. Fun to drive in the sport mode. That's the last thing on my good list. It is absolutely fun to drive. It's got stiff steering. You got to actually steer the car. The sport mode turns on the power, gives you everything you want, and it moves and it handles well and it handles high speed well. And it's just, a fun little performance SUV for sure. Now, flipping over to the bad list. And I don't want to sound like I hate this vehicle, because I don't hate it, but I'm conflicted in it, right? So the first thing is it's small. It's not good for sports, youth sports, and adult sports families. If you have a lot of equipment, this is not going to work well for you. If you have people and equipment, it's just too small. You saw the trunk, the back seats. Adults could sit back there, but they're going to only want to sit back there for a short amount of time. So for bigger families and for families that have a lot of sports to go to and a lot of equipment to haul, this is probably not one of your best picks. Second thing is the paddle shifters. They're in the way. Paddle shifters are cool. I get it. Paddle shifters are fun. The performance side of this vehicle lends itself to have the performance, the paddle shifters there. And you have a good transmission to use them with. But they get in the way of like your actual functionality of your turn signals and your windshield wipers and all that stuff. Like it's you have to physically reach around it to use it, and it's kind of goofy that way. The headlights. Something that I normally don't complain about, because most of these vehicles nowadays come with good headlights. Most of them are seal beam projector headlights. Most of them are bright reverse reflection headlights. This one's lacking a little bit. There's some black spots out there on the road. I found myself using the high beams more than I normally would. It's hard to see around corners, and when you're up and down hills like we live in, the light pattern just wasn't ideal for like what I was used to and what my vehicle has and what my wife has a Honda Accord with reverse reflection lights, and hers are bright enough. She only has to use the high beams occasionally to see ahead of her. So yeah, this was noticeable though. Driving around at night, this was noticeable that it wasn't quite as bright as I would want them to be. And the last thing on my bad list is kind of shocking. The transition between plug-in hybrid and hybrid modes and electric modes was not all that seamless. You find the motor kicking on and the transmission coming into play, and it's clunky and it's noticeable, and it's not as seamless as in other vehicles that I've driven like this. So that's just another bad thing. It's probably not terrible. You'll probably get used to it. The cars, obviously, they adapt to how you drive, and the more you drive the vehicle, the more it adapts to your style. So maybe it's just because I only have them for a week and it does certain things like that. But like, you definitely notice when it's going back and forth. Obviously, the engine comes on. Canceled. And obviously, like, it says that, it does things that you notice. So that being said, I find that the Hornet RT plug-in hybrid is a good little commuter car. If you don't have a large family, you want something that you can plug in at home and have some range and get around town and not have to worry about getting gas all the time. This is definitely a candidate for that. It looks good. It drives really, really well. And overall, it's a plus. This is Car Dad Bill this week. Real cars for real people for real life. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I will see you next time.